This hangout is now on air, they say. Hey, I am. Who else would I be? I am Tom the Beer Whisperer. I am having a Stone Enjoy by 12/25/16. Boy, it's a good thing I opened this tonight because I only have 8 days to go, man. Or the beer's going to go belly up. It's going to blow up. If you wait till the 26th, this bottle will blow up. If you drink at the 26th, it'll make your pecker turn green and fall off. It will make your poop turn purple. Bad things will happen if you wait. Anyways, so hey,
so I'm to pop it open and pour it down the drain.
I am joined by Todd Wren out of Indiana. Todd, what are you drinking, man?
I am drinking Taxman Brewing Company out of Indiana. Exemption. It's a Belgian style triple.
Oh, nice. So you sent me, I think it was a milk stout from Taxman, if I remember right.
Let's see, what was it that I sent you? Yes, it was. It was a milk stout.
Yeah, it was nice. It was darn tasty.
I think they've been distributing in our area now for maybe a year or so now, and they've quickly become one of my favorites. Everything they do is fantastic, and they're kind of more of a Belgian style type brewery.
Yeah,
they do a lot of
a Belgian style milk stout, if I remember right. Right?
Yeah. Most of the stuff they do is Belgian style. They do a lot of triples and quads and
gotcha.
doubles and stuff like that. But they're in Baggersville, Indiana, which is probably about 60 miles from here. Not too far. I actually been to the brewery. My brother-in-law and a couple of my brother-in-law's cousins, when we did our little brew tour back in May, stopped at the brewery on the way home. My brother-in-law is actually a big. Actually did a tour over while I stayed in Germany when I was in the service. So he's a big German style beer fan. So
oh, nice.
I told him on the way home, I was like, we need to stop at this brewery because they're a big German style brewery. I said, I think you would really like it. I think we stayed there for about 4, almost 5 hours. Great food. It was great food, good atmosphere, and it was great. I mean, we're talking about going back to it. So, but anything that you get that you can get here. We pretty much get all their stuff now, so they're great. I like them. This one here actually checks in at 8.5 ABV and 30 IBUs.
So they're big on the ABV out there.
Yeah, and they do some barrel aging on some stuff, and all their barrel aging stuff has been great. I mean, honestly, I've not had one that I'm just like, I wouldn't buy it again. Everything I've had so far has been definitely a buy again type beer.
Have you tried much?
I can't remember how you like the. What's that?
Have you tried many of these Enjoy by beers?
I get them from time to time. I don't get them every time they come out, but I do.
No, I don't get them every time they come out either. Are you a fan? You like the gimmick or?
I like Stone. I don't know if the Enjoy by I like your little startup presentation there. Pour it down the drain if you drink it afterwards.
Yeah, it's gonna go bad. Well, the funny thing is I've said in a couple videos that have irritated people that it's a gimmick. Well, of course it's a gimmick. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad beer. This one's wonderful. I mean, the video I did, I say a lot of great things about it. It's a fine beer, but the idea that a beer is gonna magically go bad the day after is just asinine.
Yeah, I actually. I don't think I popped it yet, so I'm probably way behind. But last year they came out with an Enjoy After series.
Yeah, I remember the Enjoy Afters, yeah.
And I think they've actually since come out with another bottle, and this one was Enjoy After July. So I guess I better pop it open or I'm going to have to pour it down the drain.
But I know people that buy every one that comes out. So, I mean, it is a gimmick, and it does work. But it doesn't mean it's a bad beer, because actually this thing does live up to the hype, in my opinion. This particular incarnation. I've had others in the past that I thought were good. This one is beyond good. This version they got going on here, the Virginia Brewery prototype, and this thing is crazy good.
I haven't bought one for a while, so I need to probably pick one up. But I like Stone. I know they get knocked on a lot because they're big distributor and countrywide distribution or whatever. But a lot of their stuff they make is good. I like I like a lot of their stuff.
I do. I like most of what they do. I like the. I mean, I'm a fan of the Arrogant Bastard and the various incarnations of. I really love the Bourbon Barrel Bastard.
Oh yeah.
The Lucky Bastard was good. The what was that Pilsner they did?
I'm trying to think.
Oh, anyways, but
I
anyway,
think it
yeah,
might
they
have
do
been
some
part of
great
their
stuff.
Bastard box they came out with last year.
Oh, I love the Bastard box. Yeah.
I can't think of the Pilsner. But yeah, I mean, I like Stone. I like Sierra Nevada too. I think they do some good stuff for being a big, large, craft. I guess you'd say craft brewery that's a high distribution. What do you think about Sierra Nevada? Do you like their stuff or
I
no?
do. I do like them for the most part. I mean, I think there was a Optimum double IPA. I think it is good. It's big. It's aggressive. But it's more piney. It is certainly not what's trendy, but it's a good quality beer. They do a lot of great stuff out there in Sierra Nevada. I'll be honest with you. I've never been a huge fan of their pale ale, but it doesn't mean it's not a quality beer. I think it's a great quality beer, just not a beer that really works for me.
Yeah,
But
not your wheelhouse.
but I think they do a lot of great stuff out there. I like to buy their mix packs because I think they do a great job when they do those mix packs.
Yeah, yeah. And it's good that they do just enough. They do. They kind of have their mainstays, and they also do just enough outside of the box that keeps people interested in what they're
Yeah,
doing.
I agree. I agree.
But Stone, especially, it's like how big of a place is that, and how much money do those guys have to distribute like they do? Almost seems like it's not even a craft beer, but it is. You know what I mean? Like almost, I guess, kind of Sam Adams-esque, I guess, but better than Sam Adams in my opinion.
Yeah, Sam Adams is interesting. I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. I mean, it seemed at some point Sam Adams was really on the cutting edge of craft beer. I mean, I don't know, can't remember what year it came out, but I don't know. I'm guessing maybe about 10 years ago ish. They had this Imperial Hallertau Pilsner, and it was crazy. It was way out of the box. I think it was about 10%. Uh, and they had other beers along that lines too. And then at some point, it seems like they made a decision company wide to go middle of the road, to quit going to not even try to be on that cutting edge anymore, to just make sellable beer. And I think that's where they are. It doesn't mean they're making bad beer, but I don't think they're really trying to be a great craft brewery anymore.
Right. Well, I think they've gotten so big that they don't have to do that anymore. Is probably the problem with that they're up against. Is
Well, I mean, I think at some point it becomes about distribution and tap handles. You want to get into
right.
places, and you want to put a tap handle on. So you want to have something that's maybe different from the usual macro suspects, but you don't want to go too far out of the box either. And I think that's the brewery that Sam Adams has become. Is they want to be the brewery that has tap handles rather than cutting edge craft beer.
They kind of want to be the macro, but they don't want to be the macro.
Yeah, they want to be the
In a sense.
well. I made a joke in a video. I referred to him as a micro or a micro macro. Yeah.
And I would agree. Now I can say, like on their Oktoberfest, not Oktoberfest, but their pumpkin ale or whatever, it does vary from year to year. You can definitely tell a difference. Sometimes it's more pumpkin-y than years before or years after. So it is enough of. And it's not the macro, but it is big enough that, yeah, you're right. It is kind of micro, macro.
Yeah, I call them a micro macro. Yeah.
And I wouldn't just, I'd kind of agree with you on that. But that's kind of where my thing is with Sierra Nevada and Stone. Is like, at what point are they considered, craft to macro. I guess macro is just, assembly line type thing. And I still don't think that like a Stone and a Sierra Nevada and some of the bigger ones aren't to that level, that they're still doing, let's say, batch brews, per bottle, I guess. Your opinion, is that what you feel the difference is?
Well, yeah, I've had conversations with some beer folks about consistency. I know folks that do drink some craft, but their go-to beer is some sort of a macro, and they say, "Well, I like it because it's consistent. It's the same way every time." That's exactly why I don't like it. That's why I like craft beer, because I don't mind that it's going to be a little bit different every time. When I go out to eat, I would rather go to a mom and pop restaurant that might be a little bit different every time than go to a chain restaurant where I know it's exactly the same. Anytime, as somebody that likes to cook, I know I can use the exact same ingredients and cook a dish one time, use the exact same ingredients next time, and it might be just a little bit different. And that's what I love about craft beer, is that you have that, it can be just a little bit different, and that's okay. I don't want something to be basically the same every time.
Yeah, and I've had a conversation with my brother, who's not a big craft beer person or anything. Yeah, he'll drink them. I'll kind of force it upon him, and he'll drink them. And I kind of explained to him, from year to year that, you may have like we'll say a seasonal or a specialty beer that comes out once a year. It's like, it's not the same from year to year. And you kind of look forward when those come out, because you want to see what the difference
Yeah,
is
you want to
from
see the
years
changes.
past.
Yeah.
But also in the same sense as I fall in craft beers too, because I kind of fall in that category. I mean, I'll buy some of the ones that I like, but I also seek out to find other ones that are new that I've not had at the same time either. Just to kind of, I don't want to say compare, but just to see what somebody else has to offer, and what their version of an IPA or a stout or an imperial stout, or whatever the case may be.
Well, yeah, and that's the fundamental difference between folks that only drink macros and folks that only drink craft, is that macro drinkers are typically, not all the time, but typically brand specific. Typically a Bud drinker is always a Bud drinker, Miller drinker, a Coors drinker. These guys buy that beer every time like clockwork. They go in and buy their 12 pack or 30 pack, whatever it is they buy. They buy that thing like clockwork, whereas a craft beer drinker walks to that beer store that they know has, you know, many, they go to that craft beer store that has a lot of choices, and they walk up and down those aisles like a kid in a candy store.
I know I do.
And we rarely buy the same thing twice.
But do you think that's a downfall or a negative to the craft beer?
Well, I don't know if downfall is the right word, but yeah, a brewery has to survive by selling you the same stuff over and over again. I think the craft breweries that are going to be successful are those that have core beers that are always basically the same, but they're able to create, seasonals or various. I don't know if gimmick beer is the right word, but beers that people want to have for whatever reason. For instance, I'm going to use one of my local breweries as an example. Mothers has some core, some core year rounders. They've got their Three Blind Mice. They've got their Towhead. They've got their little helper that they do all the time. Those three are always the same. They're pretty consistent no matter what. You buy those beers, you know what you're going to get: little helpers and IPA. But they have seasonals that change and rotate throughout the year, and every once in a while they'll pop up with something different. Now, it typically comes out about January or February. Their Mother's Milk, which is a big imperial stout that's aged in 5 spirits barrels. Now, the great thing about this beer is, for me anyway, is what we talked about, is that it's always just this much different every year. Because anytime you take a beer and then you move it from barrel to barrel to barrel, or you take these beers that you've aged in these barrels and then you mix them together. it's going to be a little bit different every time, and that's what I look forward to.
Oh
But there
yeah,
are
yeah.
times, but I know when I buy that little helper, it's going to be the same every time.
So do you think like Shafley, for instance? So I know they've done some of the like their hot, their smash pack or whatever. But for the most part, they do the same type of stuff. I mean, I know they have some new beers that come out, but they're, I don't want to say in the box. That's probably not the right word to use, but they're, I don't want to say plain Jane, but they do, their stuff is great. I love Shafley. But they do their thing, they do what they do what they do well. But they don't have all of the crazy stuff that people see from other places.
I think it's
Um,
become trendy among some craft beer drinkers, some of the more pretentious craft beer drinkers, to knock craft breweries that are just making solid drinkable beers. You know, they want to call these breweries mediocre or call that beer meh. Just because a beer might not fit in your wheelhouse doesn't mean it's a mediocre or meh beer. You know, just because
right.
a beer doesn't have 100 ingredients doesn't make it a mediocre beer. And I've said this before in a whole bunch of my own videos, is that you have to understand, or as a craft beer drinker, you should be able to understand what a quality beer tastes like. And what I mean by that is, if they're giving you a pale ale, is it a solid representation of what they're trying to do? Are they trying to do a British pale ale? Are they trying to do an English style pale ale? Are they trying to do an American craft pale ale? Whatever they're trying to do, is it solid within that style? Is it drinkable? Does it taste good? And if the answer is yes, I don't think you can call that a mediocre beer if it does what it's supposed to do. Now, whether it wows you or not is irrelevant.
Right. That's up to the individual and their own personal taste, or, you know, what they like or don't like is suitable for them.
Yep. And see, that's been my issue, is just because a brewery or a beer might not work for you doesn't mean they're mediocre. It means it doesn't work for you, but you need to know enough about craft beer to understand if it's done well, whether it works for your taste buds or not. And the example I try to use is that I can go to a restaurant and I could taste a dish. Now, it may work for me, it may not, but I know enough about that particular food to know if it's done well, whether it works for me personally or not. But is it put together well?
Right. Well, and even in your videos in passive, like for a Kolsch style beer, or not the Kolsch, but the sours in general. Used to not care much for those, but you knew enough about them that you could tell whether it was a good beer or not, and you'd even say whether it was, not your typical type that you would drink, but it's, put together good enough that it's a good beer.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of guys out there that can. I mean, uh, uh, the guy that does my favorite beer blog is a guy named John Brew Guru. Now, Brew Guru, in my opinion, is the one guy. If you're looking for a straight beer review, there is nobody, because a Brew Guru will always give you three things. He gives you history of the beer. He gives you a personal story that ties him to the beer, and he gives you a comprehensive review of the beer. Now, he's really the only guy that has done those three things consistent on every review, in my opinion. And that's what I like about him. Now, I don't agree with every review he gives, but he always gives every beer a fair shake. So that's why I think he's the best out there.
I'll have to check him out. I've not watched any of his reviews.
He doesn't do videos. You got to check out his blog. It's brewguru.com.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I've not gone to a site or looked at people's
BRUGURU.com.
reviews. Okay, I'll have to look it up.
But yeah, I guess for me, that's the point that some people miss, is that just because it doesn't taste great to you doesn't mean it's done badly. It means it doesn't work for your taste buds. And I
Right.
think that's the point that a lot of folks miss. Do you know enough about that beer or that beer style to judge it fairly? And I think most people don't, in my opinion.
Well, like you said, it's the same with food. It doesn't fit everybody's style or taste buds or whatnot. It doesn't mean it's bad, but it just may not be good for that individual person.
There, yeah, and I agree. Yep, there you go.
You can have a slice of pizza. It's whatever. Yeah, it might be the greatest thing that one person's ever had, but the next person come along and was like, yeah, it's. I just assume have a frozen pizza or something. Whatever. It just depends on. Then you never know. Maybe it's just a bad food night, or maybe it's just a bad brew batch in general. Doesn't mean that that they're consistently going to be that way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just think there's a lot of breweries out there making solid beers per style that get overlooked for these 100 ingredient beers. Urban Chestnut, for instance. Urban Chestnut, I think, is one of the best craft breweries in the country. I am a huge fan of this brewery, but they don't make these crazy out of the box 100 ingredient. Cinnamon, peanut butter, asparagus, marshmallow. Turnip green beer used with pubic hair yeast. They don't do that kind of thing. They do solid beers per style. But I think we've become a lot of craft beer drinkers have become this crazy snobbish kind of characters where they're not really interested in good quality beer per style. They want some crazy whacked out flavor.
Yeah. Well, and a lot too is, like you said, there's so many breweries that nobody even knows about because they don't have the mainstream beer advocate or whatever the website is that says, oh, these guys are a top 10 beer in the country or whatever. How does that even come about as far as like Hetty Topper, for instance, let's say, they're a small brewery. Why is that beer such a big uh, sought after beer in the country? There's probably X amount of beers out there that's just equally as good that nobody even knows about.
Sometimes it is about the hype. I mean, the Hetty Topper to me though is one of those beers that actually does live up to the hype. It really is that good. But
It is. I've had it before.
Are
It is
others
good.
out there. There are other double IPAs. To make your point is that there are other double or imperial IPAs out there that, in my opinion, are as every bit the same quality that taste as good as that one. But sometimes it becomes about hype. It becomes Hetty Topper, Pliny the Elder. These beers get a lot of hype. They become these craft beer darlings that everybody wants to say wonderful things about. But there are other breweries doing great beers as well. I mean, one of my favorite double IPAs of all time is Piney River that nobody knows about. A small brewery here in Missouri, Piney River Mule Team, I think in my opinion, is one of the greatest double slash imperial IPAs on the market. But they are a small brewery with small distribution, so a lot of folks don't know about them. But they are doing the best beer on the market, in my opinion.
But I guess that's kind of my question or my thought is, how does it get to that point? Because Hetty Topper, and I agree with that.
I'm not
That's a
sure.
great beer, but
think
it's a
I think
very small
sometimes
brewery. How
I
does
think
it get to that
sometimes
point?
hype just catches fire. I think sometimes you got these pretentious craft beer guys, and it just becomes about, hey, we're just going to talk about this one for a while until everybody agrees with us, whether it's good or not. You know,
Yeah.
in that case, that beer is good. But I'm
Oh
going to
yeah.
use
No, I wasn't saying that it's not. That's probably a bad example, but that
no,
just came to
it was
mind
a good
because it's
example. But I'm going to
it's
use
such a
another one.
small
There's
brewery.
a macro out there that does a beer every let's say Black Friday. They release this beer every year, and sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so great. But I am thoroughly convinced that there are folks that will wait in line for 4 hours for this beer, and they can literally put pureed dog shit in these bottles, and these people would swig it and tell you it's wonderful because they waited in 4 hours. They waited in line 4 hours for this beer. They're going to tell you it's great no matter what. There's been years where this beer hasn't been great, but there are people that are going to tell you it's wonderful no matter what.
Right.
Sometimes it becomes more about hype than substance, I guess is my point.
Right. Right. But I guess my thing is like, how does it get to that point? Because I guess the hype
I
and the
don't know
talk
exactly.
is
That's a good question. I don't think there's a good answer other than sometimes I think people just want to think they're part of something bigger.
right.
So they're willing to say, "Hey, look what I did. I stood in line. I got this beer. Here it is, and I don't want to get. I don't want to. I just want to show you that I have it. I want to post it all over social media. I might open one and I'm gonna pour just a little bit. And I'm gonna tell you it's wonderful, no matter how bad it is. Just because if it's bad, then I'm an asshole for waiting in line for 4 hours and spending too much money for it. So I just think sometimes the hype becomes more important than the substance. I guarantee you
Yeah,
we're going to
I
get
get
some
that. I get
thumbs
that.
down for this video. As we speak, people are thumbs downing this video because these are the same jackasses that stood in line for 4 hours and drank that parade dog shit and told you how wonderful it was.
Right. Right.
And I don't necessarily have an issue with them giving me the thumbs down for saying what I say because sometimes I say stuff intentionally just to irritate people. My issue with these people is they don't have the balls to leave a comment to tell me exactly why they're irritated with me. They just give me anonymous thumbs down because they have no integrity and no balls to tell me exactly what they're pissed off about.
Yeah. Now, I can't say I've not done that in the past. I didn't do it this year, but I have done it before. But you're right. It's kind of like Zombie Dust from Three Floyds, which I think is a fantastic beer, but it's also one of those beers that's put on the shelf that's as a high, sought after beer because of the one. Actually, over the last year, it's become more readily available, but people just
Well, I've noticed
flip
they've
over and
changed the
die
zombie.
for it.
Well, I don't know if they've changed the zombie dust. I don't. I guess I can't prove that. But they've changed the stats on zombie dust online because the very first time I had the zombie dust, when I looked it up online and I posted the stats in my video, it was 6.4%, and now they have it listed at 5.9. Or the
Seems to be
last time I
happening.
looked at it.
Seems to be happening a little bit more, don't you think?
I'm sorry.
Seems to be happening a little more, don't you
It
think? Like the
does,
stats
yeah.
dropping a little bit on them.
It's like a bait and switch, right?
Yeah, yeah,
you get me addicted to it, and then you take it down, man.
yeah. Hey, and I love Zombie Dust. It's a good beer, but it's not one that
Zombie Dust is
I.
a fine beer. The very
Oh,
first time I had Zombie Dust, I absolutely loved it, and in subsequent years, I thought it was good. But there are other beers out there that are of equal quality to me, anyways.
right, yeah. And I used to flip out over it, but I don't get so. It's kind of when I see it, it's like, okay, that's cool. I kind of can get it. I don't want to say when I want it, but I kind of have an inside to get some of it.
There you go.
So I don't. I'm not after it so much. When I want it because I wanted to drink it. I know a lot of people seek it to do beer trades with.
Yeah, a lot of
It's
people
just,
do. Yeah. Well,
you know,
John, I think we've ran rather long on this particular video, so you want to add any final notes on the beer you're drinking?
Taxman, Indiana, if you can get it. Get Taxman. I don't know how far they distribute, but they make fantastic stuff.
I actually didn't give any tasting notes on this one this time because, well, I did a video for it on its own. It's a great beer. There's a lot of citrus going on, a lot of orange. You get some grapefruit. There's just a lot of things going on. In my opinion, as hard as I am about beers that are overhyped, in my opinion, this one lives up to every bit of hype. It deserves all the credit it gets. It's just a damn fine beer. I may save. I think I've got one left. I may save it for the December 26th just to see if it changes, if it makes my winky fall off, does it make my poop turn purple? I don't know. At this point, it's a moral imperative. I just need to know what's going to happen. I
It'll
am
make you
John
grow a third
Whisper.
eye.
If
You'll
I've
have a third
offended you,
eye.
it just proves that you're a candy ass, and I'll talk to you later.